everybody, I'm Seth.
And I'm Sarah.
And this is our project on
Echolocation. So for our presentation, we're just going to talk a little bit about what echolocation is, and then go into some of the sensory processes involved. And then we're going to talk about what animals can use it and whether humans can actually use it or not. So Seth, what is echolocation?
You know, Sarah, that's a great question. Echolocation is when an organism emits a sound and listens for the changes in the returning echoes of that sound. Echolocation is used for gaining info about relative position and spatial orientation, and even identifying prey. This can also provide important and detailed information about the environment. So Sarah, now that we know what echolocation is, what are the sensory processes of echolocation?
It's a great question, Seth, and I'll tell you. So basically echolocation involves two parts. The first part is when the animal actually emits a sound, and the second part is when the animal receives and hears the sound that they make. So for the first part, the animal will make some kind of call noise. Depending on what animal, that will vary a little bit. And it's important to note that the call that the animal makes and the echo that they hear happen at different times, actually. And the call that the animal makes really relies on frequency and intensity. So the more frequent the animal makes a noise, and the more intense that noise is, the better the animal will be able to understand their environment around them, because they'll receive more cues. So the second part of echolocation is when the animal actually hears a sound. So hearing is a very important sense that is needed for echolocation. Basically, the ear will listen for those echoes that the original call has made, and the ear will kind of funnel those and process those, so that the animal will be able to understand what's around them. And it's interesting because animals that can echolocate are actually very tuned to be able to understand these calls. So an animal that does not know how to echolocate will not be as able to understand those calls and process them in a way that tells them about their environment.
Speaking of animals, these are the animals that can use it. Bats, dolphins, and many other animals. But bats use echolocation specifically to locate objects and object features in the dark, because they typically live in caves where it is very dark. Echolocation in bats is made possible by specialized muscles that produce scream-like echoes, and the bats receive these echoes with large middle ear muscles. In dolphins, rather than using scream-like noises, they use clicks. And these clicks travel differently underwater than in air.
So now we're going to talk a little bit more about what echolocation looks like as far as humans. And we're going to show you this video. It's about a guy named Ben Underwood. He's actually blind, but he has learned how to use echolocation as a human. So Seth, would you like to play the video?
You know, Sarah, I would love to.
At Sheldon High in Sacramento, 14-year-old Ben Underwood is a freshman like all the rest. Well, not exactly. In his first week, many haven't guessed that Ben has a secret. And you probably couldn't figure it out watching him in combat and karate class, or hitting his mark in a pillow fight, or zipping down the street on his rollerblades.
Did you get it?
When you lost your eyes?
I was 2 years old, 2 weeks before my 3rd birthday.
Ben had cancer in both eyes, but he discovered a way to beat his blindness.
I started clicking. I was like, first, I was like 6 years old.
He realized the clicking sound he made with his tongue bounced off things around him, giving him an idea what was there. Was it like seeing again?
Pretty much, yeah.
Ben says he can distinguish where the cars are as he cruises his neighborhood streets. even though he can't see the basket he's aiming for, by listening for the distinctive echoes each makes, he can find the pole and backboard on a basketball goal and sink a basket.
It becomes easy to forget that Ben is blind.
That was luck.
How else to justify my pleasure when I put a couple of goals past him? You thought you're so good.
I am good.
He is indeed. Ben beat me 5-2. Taking a walk with Ben, I was amazed at what he could see with his ears.
Well, there's a fire hydrant on the side and a car on this side. Right, is that, no, that's a trash can or, that, hold on, let me see. That's a trash can? Yeah, that's a trash can. Or recycling, one of those.
Yeah? Playing video games with his brother Isaiah in the assault of noise, Ben can figure out everything that's happening just by listening. How can you even separate the sound?
Because they got different voices.
Nobody is going to tell him that there is an impossibility for him because there are none.
That doesn't give you any breaks because you're blind, does she?
Nah.
Why should he get a break? I can't get a break.
His mother, Aquanetta Gordon, insists he should have every opportunity, but no pity. But he's blind.
No, he's not. I mean, you know, to society he's blind, but that doesn't make him handicapped. He just can't see.
Ben has much the same talent as the dolphins he visited at SeaWorld, the ability to use echolocation, returning sound waves, to sense his surroundings. His clicks even told him to step around a fallen trash bin.
I don't know how you do that.
But the secret to Ben's success goes beyond his clicks. Your mother, Aquanetta, has always told Ben he can do anything.
Once he said to me, he says, Mom, man, I wish I could see. And then I said, well, Ben, but look what you can do. I said, if we had a blackout right now, everybody have to follow you.
Before I introduce you to Ben, we need you to please hold your applause so we can use his clicking.
So,
At Sheldon High in Sacramento, 14...
anyways, as you can see, humans can echolocate. Could you explain this to us, Sarah?
Absolutely. So, as seen in the previous video, there are actually more examples of that, showing that the blind community, echolocation is possible for people like this. And it's definitely a very viable option for them because it allows them to navigate the world without being able to use vision. But I'm sure you're all wondering, can sighted people do it? And there actually has been a lot of research about this and whether people who are sighted can do this or not. And after looking at a couple different studies, it's definitely possible. But what's different is that animals usually use like emissions in an ultrasonic range, while humans will make noises on the audible spectrum. So that you have to take that into account when looking at human echolocation, specifically for sighted people. But there's a couple other studies that have definitely proven that when humans are listening for the right noises, and if echolocation is kind of simulated, it definitely appears to be possible. There's definitely more research to be done, but there's been a lot of ways that researchers have looked into this and kind of come up with ways to train people to be able to do it who are sighted. So, in regards to that,
We will train you.
we're going to train you guys how to echolocate.
If I can change the slide.
So, for our last thing for our slide, we're going to kind of teach you guys a little bit about how to echolocate and wall or a window. The video that we have that trains uses a window. And it's actually really helpful and really cool. So we really recommend you guys participating in this activity.
Well, as you can see, echolocation is very possible to do in humans, as well as many animals.
We thank you guys for listening to our presentation about echolocation. Hope you guys learned a little something new about it. And maybe even you too can echolocate. These are references.
If you would like to read these, here they are. Very interesting.